Loz Campbell, welcome to In the Chair with. How are you?
Hello, Ben. I'm all right. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Busy, busy. Pleasure to have you on. Now, in the intervening kind of minutes before we started talking, you sent me a press release over a new single, which we'll come on to that. But you've been around now 10 years, and interestingly, I only learnt today you've started touring at 15, which is must be quite something.
Yeah,
Um,
you're giving away my age there.
uh, okay. Apologies. I'll do the whole pixelated thing and I'll cut the audio out. Yeah. Um, but you're going to be eternally young because life on the road keeps you young, so it's fine. Um, and a question that kind of formed in my mind already before reading that was it's been a decade, and a decade's a long time. And apologies for getting straight into the nitty gritty, but as a woman and as in the music business, and also as a front lady, because that may have some kind of extra nuance to it. What has been the shift in the last 10 years?
For female musicians, are we talking
Mm.
about?
Yeah, and the experiences you read about all sorts of things and struggles and the poor habits of men, shall we say, and how they can impress upon ladies in venturing into any career. And it's a big discussion, it's a big topic in society that's kind of being challenged and picked apart, and quite rightly so. And I just wondered, what was your experience of that?
Um, it's something that I've always said. It doesn't really matter if I'm female, male, because I'm playing guitar, I'm playing rock music. That should be the only thing that matters if it's good.
Well, yeah.
Um, However, as I've gone through these 10 years, I've seen, heard a lot of things. I'm quite good at brushing things off. But I think after a while, yeah, it does start to sort of annoy you a little bit, I guess. But like you say, this happens in any career. I think the most important thing is to be a strong woman. In any career that you're going for, be strong. Speak your mind and don't take any what.
Yeah, well, it's easier said than done because
Mm.
you started at what some would say would be quite an impressionable age and a vulnerable
Mm.
age to start, which I must say must take a considerable amount of kind of innate strength to do. Anyway, you must have been kind of perhaps a bit of sort of advanced beyond your years to be able to even consider doing that in addition to what most 15-year-olds are doing, and that's kind of just coping with school and social media and whatever's going on down the road or whatever.
Absolutely, you're totally right. I mean, it was an escape for me. So I could go out after school and play a gig and then turn up with my woolly hat on, sort of pulled down to my below my eyebrows because I've been out late the following night, the previous night, should I say. So it was a definite escape from school and the real world, and like you say, it does keep you eternally young. But yeah, I mean, I did come into it naive. I think whatever age you start the music industry, everybody is naive, but you are quick to learn who to trust and who not to trust. And, we all make mistakes along the way. This is life. But people have always said that I'm wise beyond my years. So I'm lucky in that respect that, I had a good head on my shoulders at 15 to go out and give it my best shot, really.
Well, it looks by looking from what I've read and what I've heard, you're doing an absolutely astounding job, and you've got this wonderful kind of very bright disposition about you, which is absolutely awesome to see. Because after 10 years of working in the music business, a lot of people are a bit browbeaten and downbeaten. You said it was kind of music was your escape, so let's talk about how you first discovered music, and then the fact that you could play, sing, write, and do all of these things that you do so brilliantly.
Well, thank you. So I was always heavily into music from a young age. I think there's a photo from years back, probably about 4 years old. I'm in a Mr. Incredible costume, if you remember the Incredibles.
Yes, yeah.
Running around with an electric guitar that one of my dad's friends had sort of lent us. I didn't really play it at 4 years old. I think it was more of a, posing with it sort of thing. But I picked up flute actually as my first instrument when I was about 7 or 8. Played in an orchestra for years, really enjoyed music and performing really and being part of a group. And then as I got into my teenage years, I sort of discovered Soundgarden and Nirvana, and I wanted to play what I was listening to. And then started going to open mic nights and jamming with my friends and things. And I got a real buzz for it, and I was desperate to be in a band. I don't know what the sort of internal drive was, but I was so desperate to be in a band, and I was always the most passionate person in the group, and I was like, oh, we should do this, we should do that. And then I couldn't find anybody to sing, because I never wanted to sing, I just wanted to play guitar. I couldn't find anybody sort of driven enough to put the GCSEs on like a back burner, if you would like. I mean, I did well in them, thankfully, but not many people would like to take the risk of doing both things at once. And then I was just sort of singing at an open mic night because people said, just give it a go, just have a sing, and then I sort of realised that actually I can do this, and maybe I should give it a go. And I played a local festival and then got booked for another festival. Kind of ball started rolling from there. And I loved it. And I loved travelling around, and yeah, just never looked back since, really.
What was that transition like from, you playing stuff that you kind of want to play because you hear it and you like it, to kind of then suddenly realizing that actually I'm writing songs, I'm now doing this like seriously? Like, what was that transition period like? Did it kind of sneak up on you one day and you realize like, oh my God, I'm actually doing this, and this is serious, and this is what I'm about?
I can remember writing my first song. I was actually pulled to one side in a pub after one of the open mic nights, and somebody said to me, listen carefully because I'm about to give you some very good advice. And I thought, oh, here we go. But
yeah.
He said, the best thing you can do for yourself is write your own music. That's where the money is. That's where the freedom is. It will launch your career, basically. Otherwise, you're going to be stood in the corner of this pub for the rest of your days. So if you want to play in London, etc., you've got to write your own music. I mean, that's not necessarily true. I know that now, but I'm glad he pushed me in that direction. So I went away and I sort of started messing around with a few chords, and then I had a lot of things from my childhood that I probably needed to sort of release, and I found that music was a good release for that. And I wrote 2 EPs just straight away, sort of over the course of the first year and a half. And the first EP was funded by a festival. They had some money left over, and they said, we want to fund your first EP. So I went to record it and thought, well, best do an EP launch. So I got myself in a little record store in Wakefield. Must have had about 10 people maximum there. But yeah, it was it felt amazing at 15 to have something that I'd completed,
This is something that I often think about more as personal, as a bit of a missed opportunity, because I wasn't a confident and aspiring teenager. But I watch, like children and adolescents develop, and there's almost like a bit of a fearlessness, kind of go with the motion. You're exploring this, you've got your hand in this pie. But then if you ask someone to perhaps start that process at, say, 25, 30, 40, we come with a lot of preconceived and pre-learned sort of inhibitions and insecurities. I wondered, what would that look like, if you were starting your journey now? Was it a case of it just you were young and you're able to go along with it? Would you be able to replicate that again today?
All honesty, no. And I am so glad that I started this, that young, because you've got all the time in the world, apart from going to school and washing up maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
You've got all the time in the world to write, practice, plan ideas. And I used to sit at the dining room table and plot out a tour and how I would get around the country. I was way off ever being able to put that into place. I didn't even have the fans in these cities at that point, but I knew I wanted to do it, and I used to plot out how many miles is it to so and so. It was always in my head to do. And just recently, me and the guys have been looking at old photos and things of everything we've done over the sort of last decade. And I just sat back the other week and I was like, God, I actually have done what that little girl actually sat at the dining room table and planned what she wanted to do. I've done it. And there's a great sense of achievement. But yeah, like you say, now you're more aware when you're older of you're more aware of and bothered by people's opinions, I think. So when I'm writing music now, I always think it's got to be better than what I've done previously. Are people going to like it? Yada, yada. Whereas then it was like, I quite enjoy playing this song that I've written. I'm going to go play it down at the pub. Oh, people like it. I'll write another one. It's that simple. And I often say this about riding motorbikes because I started riding on the back of my uncle's motorbike at about 13.
What was it? What was the bike?
Oh God, he's gone through so many. I can't even remember the name now. It might have been the Tuono back then, I think, but I could be wrong. I have got a GS 500 now, but I always
nice.
I always say that if I hadn't have got on the bike at 13, I probably would have never have gotten it now, for example, because like you say, fears start creeping in and you're more aware of, actually, that's a bit dangerous. So any advice? I mean, I teach guitar as well, and I always say to my younger students, now is your time. If you want to do this, do it now. Because as soon as you start going off to university, getting a job, getting a partner, kids, life just takes over. And it's so hard to get something off the ground when you're trying to do life as well. So start young, I say.
I think what you've both said there and that your journey is testament to is one, the investment in young people in creative spaces. We all know what music school budgets on equipment and time and kind of nurturing and encouragement. It's still it comes to the bottom of the barrel. Whereas, I follow a lot of like extreme black metal and super heavy stuff, and that's more the colder countries. But over there, the education the system is built around. Well, if you're investing in it as a musician, you're treated like it's like a solicitor or an accountant over as it is here. And I think your story is important. To be at least part of the cog that can hopefully change that, which I hope is a way that society goes. And secondly, is that ability to look at your dreams and also have a lens that looks at the world like through a child's eyes. If you have a dream, the simple act of mapping it out is almost a precursor to getting the dream out of your head into reality. Yes, your tour was fictional, but had you not gone through that process, it puts it out into the universe. It's like a self-perpetuating exercise, and I think it's important for people to remember that. So, two amazing points there. So let's touch on the rest of the band, because it started out with you, and now you have a team of kind of dedicated musicians along with you. How did that form, and how does it look?
I'm very good at stealing people from other bands. I've gained that skill. So initially started out, I've had quite a few members, I must say. But over the past 5 or 6 years, it's been the same members, apart from new guitarists that we've just got in. So I'll take you right back to the start. So when we started out, I put bass and drums behind me because the second EP was a little bit heavier and it needed that support live. Then the album that I did at 17, that was even more sort of grungy and teenage angst sort of sounding. So that definitely needed a band. I carried the same drummer with me for 4 years-ish. We played everywhere together, absolutely everywhere, for 4 nights a week minimum. And he did all the driving, bless him. And then bass players sort of came and went, never sort of found the right guy until we got Steve, which we stole. Yeah. So mixing the story up a bit. So when said drummer left that drove everywhere, I was without a drummer for about 6 months, which was really stressful. Things parted on good terms. It was just that he'd got sort of mid-30s and I was still a teenager and he wanted to settle down and I definitely wasn't ready for any of that. So it was a really sort of natural split. Still friends now. He just played our 10th anniversary gig as well, which was really special. And yeah, I was looking for a drummer for 6 months. Had a few deck players who were phenomenal, still in touch with those boys. They're really good. And girls, should I say, and girl. And then somebody came up to me and said, do you know Tigers of Pang Tang? And I said, I've heard of them, yeah. Well, the drummer teaches this young lad. He's really good. And I thought, I don't know if I want like somebody younger than me that's got not necessarily any touring experience. But I was like, well, I really do need a drummer. I'm going to have to give it a go. So he came down to the audition and I was like, wow, this kid is the best like drummer I've ever played with. And it's Tom Kirby, who's still with me to this day. And is my writing partner in crime. We've written all the latest singles together. Awesome. So that was really I'm so glad that we took that risk. And his enthusiasm is just as much as mine. We've definitely pushed this together. So when we will, I mentioned Stephen Pickles, the bassist that we've got now. So we were in the same situation bass-wise. We were like, oh, we don't have a bass player. Who can we get? And Tom said, oh, one of Dad's friends knows so-and-so. He's in a band. He plays in like a covers band and a punk band. And I was like, right, let's get him in. We auditioned a few people. And he was the only guy that came and just played all the songs perfectly without me having to sort of talk him through anything. And I was like, that's good. But he's such a funny character, Steve, because I didn't know whether he was interested or not. So I was trying to grill him at the audition saying, this is a lot. We tour a lot. You're going to be away from home, this and that. And he was like, yeah, cool. I was like, I just don't know whether he's...
These are bass players you're talking to, yeah?
Yeah, I was just like, I can't figure him out. And then I had to pick up the phone and just basically say, look, you're the best player that we've had audition, but I just don't know if you want this. And he was like, no, I definitely want it. But now I know Steve, and he's played with us for 3 years now, I think. Now I know Steve, I know that is normal for him. So, it's fine.
There are people in their 40s or whatever trying to put things together that wouldn't have the balls to kind of like phone up and go, look, I'm really not sure. Come on, whatever. So, your organization and your ability to kind of like make sure you're getting what not just you want, but everyone else around you. I mean, that's huge credit. A couple of things I wanted to touch on as a result of what you've said there. The writing process, because obviously it started as just you, and now obviously you've got this enthusiastic drummer that's helping. It's become more collaborative. How was it to let go of something that you'd essentially grown up with that was just yours when it comes to writing to now something that's collaborative?
I don't really see it as as letting go in the way that me and Tom work together, because he's bringing an element that I can't bring, which is the rhythmic side, like the drum. Obviously, I bring the rhythmic side with the guitar, but he's bringing sort of the heartbeat, the drums. So I will still approach him with a main riff, a decent chorus, a structure of a song, and then it's the fine details that we're putting in, like the chops and, you know, the meat and potatoes of the song.
That was such a Yorkshire phrase there. Lovely. The meat and potatoes. Carry on, sorry.
I can't get away from it, I'm sorry.
That's great. It's great. Love it.
Yeah, so the letting go part was when we started to work with Tom Gittins, our producer, because that really was me handing the reins over to some extent. And it's definitely the best thing we've ever done, because it's pushed us musically. That he's got things out of us that we never would have discovered. And I think, to be honest, it's thanks to him that we've got on these festivals and stuff this year, because the sound is now huge. And, you know, I'm old enough now and wise enough to say I couldn't have done that on my own. So, you know, sometimes you need to work with people.
Yeah, it's a hard step that anyone's got to take at some point. And, you know, music, even in its kind of humble origin of, you know, cavemen and drums and stuff, you know, it's a collaborative process. And it's very easy, especially to how we're marketed to, is to kind of, we can do everything for ourselves because of this technology, that, but it doesn't actually work like that. So again, it's a good step you followed. And then the second question was, you talked about the drummer that kind of wanted to sort of settle down a bit. All you've known is kind of music, push. Where are you at now, kind of sort of conscious that, you know, I don't want to touch on the age too much, but another decade is approaching and round the corner. What about that aspect of life? Does that cross your mind? Is it something you battle with, or is something you're just pushing away?
Does that answer your question?
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah. So,
you have been busy.
So, you know, I think I'm at a really good stage now where I don't have to beast the gigs. I can come away for a bit, enjoy my life and enjoy being me. You know, I am not Loz Campbell. That is a stage thing. I'm a totally different person, really. I mean, obviously I ride motorbikes and I am a bit of a rock chick, but, you know, I also like gardening and stuff. So there's two sides, definitely. So, you know, yes, it does creep in my mind, and I'm thinking, oh, yeah, when we did that 10th anniversary gig, I thought, oh, next time we do this, I'll be 35. But 35, like, that's not old.
No.
And I think we're in a really good position now, and I actually am excited about the future. And, you know, I've just been to watch Samantha Fish, and she's into her 30s now, and she's been doing it for probably just as long as I have, if not longer. And, you know, she's still, you know, on the upward, I would say. So, you know, it's being done. So, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, it sounds like you've got it all mapped out. And speaking of the imminent future, hitting the free road, it's your chance to plug the new single, what it's about.
Okay, so it's coming out on the 24th of November. There will be a music video with it as well. It is all about hitting the free road, literally, that is what the song is. And it's just talking about how it is to be on the road as a touring band, and the ups and downs, the nomad feel. So, you know, sort of in the studio, we listened to Glenn Campbell's song. Is it Wichita Lineman? I've forgotten the title track now. Unbelievable. But it's that. Have a listen, people. It's a great track, and it set the tone for me with sort of the feel of the track, and it's very sort of heart-wrenching in places. The Glenn Campbell song, no relation to me, by the way.
No.
But yeah, so it's got the, oh, this is amazing, I'm free, I'm on the road. Actually, is this what I want? You know, I'm kind of lonely, you know, oh no, that show was great. Yeah, it's worth doing it. So it's that push and pull all the time, which a lot of musicians will relate to, I think.
Have you felt that push and pull, and what has been your worst experience whilst kind of touring?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if any musician would sit there and say, no, I've never felt the push and pull, then what have you been doing? Because that is literally it. You know, best moments is sort of banking a festival that you've always wanted to play.
Oh, for sure.
Getting a great reaction from the crowd. Everywhere we play, I don't think we've ever gone down badly, you know, so we're lucky in that sense that we do appeal to most audiences. But, you know, there can be certain times where, I don't know, it's something silly like you get a parking fine, or, you know, you miss your dog, or, you know, you look at your friends and they, like you say, they have all got families around them, and you start to think, but yeah, or you can play rubbish gigs as well. I mean, I played plenty in the early days where I had people like pulling the teeth out at the bar.
Yeah, sorry.
And it's just like, okay. So I've done weird stuff, but yeah, it's a ride. It's a ride.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's a ride that you seem to have embraced from, you know, well, from your very early beginnings, and continue to make a success of. And, you know, just listening to you, you're such an inspiration, not for an old codger like me, but for others kind of learning stuff. And, you know, if we could put your story in a platform to a young audience, you know, I think there's a lot of inspiration, there's a lot of hope, there's a lot of encouragement there, just in your very nature, let alone your story. So how I tend to top these interviews off is just kind of give you a platform using your nuggets of wisdom and stuff you've learned over the years. What would you say to someone that is kind of feeling disheartened, a little bit unsure, a little bit frustrated with kind of, you know, their progression with the music?
Stick to your guns. Always remember why you started doing it, and push. Like in the early days, you have to play more than you're probably sleeping. It has to come first. It has to come before friends, boyfriends, anything, family. If you want something, put it at the top of the list, and you'll get it. You'll get what you want. It just takes a hell of a lot of hard work, especially in this day and age.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's kind of preyed upon us that success is easy. You can release stuff to Spotify, blah blah blah, and you can all do it from the comfort of your own home. But you know, and then you get disheartened because, you know, you don't hit any numbers, and then you've suddenly got to become your own PR person and all this kind of stuff. And there's no substitute, I feel, actually, for real live experiences. I'd say the same if you were a food marketing company or whatever. You need to go outside and sell your sausage rolls. You can't just put an Instagram post about it, you know.
Love that.
Okay, well, where are you playing next?
Yeah, good question. We haven't got anything in the diary, and that is on purpose. So we're going to go into the studio in the new year and finish the forthcoming album. And then we'll be doing a select few shows. So it'll be a case of grab the tickets when they come out, because we're not doing a large amount next year.
Okay, well, let me know when that album is kind of on its way out. I'd be very interested to listen to it, and of course to try and push it around here as much as possible. And also when you've got some shows to announce, and we'll send some of our camera guys up there and record something special for you. But it's been an absolute pleasure to have you, and I wish you the best in the studio.
Thank you very much, man.
and of course, every other facet of life as well. When's the
Thank
wedding?
you.
When's the wedding?
Oh, that's the golden question, isn't it?
Okay. Is it album first or wedding first?
Album, of course. Yeah,
Always, yeah.
Music comes first, Ben. You know this. Yeah. So, one thing at a time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, congratulations in all your endeavours, and thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you. Cheers.
No worries.